This week on WTX News, Saudi Arabia is facing unprecedented diplomatic pressure from the Trump administration and other allies to provide a credible account of how journalist Jamal Khashoggi vanished at its consulate in Istanbul. The renowned tube pusher who pushed a former Eurotunnel chief in front of tube train was found guilty of attempted murder. This week also is the annual World Mental Health Day and is observed to spread awareness about mental disorders and their effects on people. And also this week marks the start of International Breast Cancer Awareness Month. A man who pushed a former Eurotunnel boss onto the tracks of the London Underground has been found guilty of attempted murder. Sir Robert Malpas, aged 91, went flying onto tube tracks after being pushed off the platform by a stranger in an alleged murder attempt. CCTV footage played at the Old Bailey showed the moment Sir Robert was allegedly sent sprawling onto the rails of Marble Arch Station by 46-year-old Paul Crosley. He was rescued by a passerby, Riyad al-Husseini, who jumped onto the tracks and helped to pull him back onto the platform. Sir Robert suffered a fractured pelvis and a gash to the head that required 12 stitches following the incident on the 27th of April. His rescuer, Mr. al-Husseini, was a French teacher who had just finished work at the Dorchester Hotel in Mayfair. The 24-year-old told the court he heard screams and shouting before running 20 metres to where Sir Robert lay with his clothes and umbrella covered in blood. CCTV footage showed Sir Robert walking along the platform wearing a brown Burberry raincoat, suit and tie, carrying an umbrella. He is then approached from behind by Crosley, who has a hood pulled over his cap before being sent sprawling onto the tracks. Crosley, who was living in a homeless hostel in East London, was chased and detained by members of the public after he pushed Sir Robert. Crosley, who was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia when he was 17, admitted he was the man wearing a cap and hood caught on CCTV shoving both men. He told jurors he had taken crack cocaine the previous day and began feeling paranoid as he made his way to the West End to get coffee. Crosley claimed he had meant to scare Mr. French, who had looked at him in a funny way, and said he was having a panic attack at the time he attacked Sir Robert, intending to push him over onto the floor. He denied 2 charges of attempted murder and an alternative count of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm to Mr. French, but pleaded guilty to a wounding charge in relation to the attack on Sir Robert. While there is a World Day for almost everything, Mental Health Day, which took place on the 10th of October, feels especially significant and worthy of attention. Every year, Mental Health Awareness Week comes around and people with mental health issues open up about their experiences to remove taboos. The language around mental health and mental illness have existed for decades. The conversation itself has become far more open and relevant to all. Mind, the UK's leading mental health charity, summarises it concisely by saying mental health can affect anyone, any day of the year. This year, the theme of World Mental Health Day is young people and mental health in a changing world, a vital concern given that approximately 1 in 5 adolescents experiences mental and behavioural problems in any given year. Moreover, half of all mental health problems in adulthood have their own onset during or before adolescence, and lately the Care Quality Commission found that too many children with mental health problems weren't receiving the care they needed when they needed it, with one child interviewed having waited 18 months for treatment. Most things that happen to children don't lead to mental health problems on their own, but traumatic events can trigger problems for children and young people who are already vulnerable. There are several mental health problems that affect both teenagers and children alike, which includes depression, self-harm, post-traumatic stress disorder, ADHD and eating disorders. Teenagers especially are turning to self-harm or suicide in increasing numbers. While suicide rates are falling, 4,500 people take their own lives every year, which has led to the Prime Minister to appoint a Minister for Suicide Prevention as the government hosts the first ever Global Mental Health Summit. Theresa May said the appointment of Health Minister Jackie Doyle-Price to the new role will help tackle the stigma surrounding suicide. The government has also promised more support in schools, bringing in new mental health support teams and offering help in measuring students' health, including their mental well-being. Ms. May said, "We can end the stigma that has forced too many to suffer in silence and prevent the tragedy of suicide taking too many lives." Alongside the announcement, the Prime Minister pledged £1.8 million to the Samaritans so the charity can continue providing its free helpline for the next 4 years.